saw this over and over again in my patients with personality disorders when they would meditate, when they would get in touch with this thing, change the state of consciousness. And what I began to realize is that more and more of them were reporting what many of you will know as siddhis. These are actually to be expected sort of experiences that people have when they're practicing some of these what are now modern traditions, but come from ancient traditions where this was to be expected, that you would have extraordinary experiences, gifts, and powers.
Now, I've had lots more. Okay.
That's pretty
I've
amazing.
got lots more. But the point is, we are so much more than our left brain consciousness in a box that is educentric and cognitive. We are so much more than that. It's unbelievable.
That's the biggest scandal. That is the biggest scandal.
Sure.
Is that we have all been sold a rational world. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with rationality, but it's just a tiny slice of the universe. And we've been sold that you're only allowed to think and perceive within this tiny little slice of reality.
This thing changed the state of consciousness. And what I began to realize is that more and more of them were reporting what many of you will know as siddhis. These are actually to be expected sort of experiences that people have when they're practicing some of these what are now modern traditions, but come from ancient traditions where this was to be expected, that you would have extraordinary experiences, gifts, and powers. These are things like psychokinesis, where you might be able to influence the environment, physical environment, or what we might call psychic sort of abilities, where you might be able to predict something in the future or remember something that you couldn't possibly remember from the distant past. And so the research I am moving into now is really more methodically exploring this. And I'm building on research with my colleague, who John also knows, Cassie Veaton at the Noetic Sciences, and she's in California. They did a study that looked at just a survey of 1,100 people or so, and they were meditators who had done some significant meditating, and they asked them about these specific experiences. And it was absolutely astounding. They found over 50% endorsed experiencing some of these things, one or more.
I missed that. This is selfish. What did you say, 50% what?
50% reported experiencing some of these siddhis, some of these extraordinary experiences.
And scientist and MD. Okay? It just opens up channels of connection, almost portholes through, okay, energy fields that, oh my gosh, where did this come from? Holy moly.
Mm-hmm.
How can this kind of thing be happening to a left brain Harvard professor?
Yeah.
Poles apart in the color of time. You're the color of being born. Unless we breathe in each other, there is no garden.
I just believe that school children all over the planet are able to have extraordinary consciousness experiences that can lead to planetary changes, just like your work is leading to and our work is leading to. And if we can facilitate that, you know what I mean? Those extraordinary consciousness experiences.
That's right.
God knows where it'll take us all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I had an extraordinary consciousness experience when I was about 6 years old, and And, you know, it took me all these years, I'm 66 now, but it took all these years to figure out what that was all about. And I had actually kind of forgotten about it on a conscious level, you know, for about 14 years. And then when I went to California and my psychologist suggested that I try mind-body stuff, and then I started learning how to meditate and do Tai Chi and Qigong. And when I did that first Qigong meditation, it felt like I was kind of floating in space. And then it reminded me of an extraordinary consciousness experience that I had when I was 6 years old. And what happened was I was asleep. It was about middle of the night. And I opened my eyes because I felt like somebody was watching me. And I opened my eyes. I was sleeping with my mom and my dog in the back of the Blue Star Motel. My parents owned a small motel, the Blue Star Motel. We slept in the office in case people would come in at night. And anyway, I opened my eyes, and there was this angelic figure. Now, at the age that I'm at, I don't say it was an angel. I did that for years. But I don't do that anymore because I'm understanding the energetic nature of the universe and how the universe can form and whatever things resonate with us and make and feel comforting to us. You know what I mean? It can can express itself in myriad ways. But to me, it looked like an angel, and it looked like a translucent angel, like it was made out of water, and the water was like rippling.
Okay.
You could see through it. You know, it was clear and crystal. And anyway, it beckoned me, wanted me to come to it, and I didn't want to. I was, I thought, oh my God, what is this? And I shrunk back in the covers, and then I felt myself being pulled out of the bed, and I started trying to reach for my mother and my dog. And I remember my hands going right through them. So I was having an out-of-body experience. Now, I didn't, the 6-year-old me didn't comprehend that. All I knew was that I was being pulled out of bed. And then I was in this angel's arms, and it felt very comfortable. And then we took off and flew across town. And it essentially, the long story short, what I realize now looking back is it was teaching me how to meditate. It was teaching me, I can't tell you how, because it wasn't verbal. It was like,
That's right.
Yeah, but it was teaching me to breathe in. And then when I exhaled, it was teaching me that I had to let go. I had to let go mentally, emotionally, physically, on every level. And if I let go completely, I would start to lift up off the sidewalk, like I was flying, like I was floating in the air. And so then 20 years later, when the psychologist recommended mind body, I started learning how to mind body, do meditation. I had that first night. I struggled with it after that, but that first night was magical because I just had this feeling like I was floating. And then I remembered that experience from when I was a child. And so I just find it ironic that I had this angelic experience at 6 years old, and then, almost 40 years later, ended up organizing a global meditation event. You know what I mean? It's like, what do kids have in them that they don't know? Because I forgot about that experience until later in my 20s when I learned how to meditate. And what was really interesting about it, you were talking about the images that you had, what the universe presented for you when you had that experience. What I found out later was that my wife had an extraordinary consciousness experience. Now, mine was an angel because I was raised as a Lutheran boy in Western Kansas, but she was a Catholic in Hong Kong. And so she had an experience where she had she said she saw Mary, Mother Mary. Yeah. And she was just as real as me and you right now. That's how real she was. She was only like about 12 feet away from my wife. And anyway, what was fascinating was that I went back and I tried to start doing the math. And we think that it's possible that we may have had those experiences at exactly the same moment, because she had hers in the middle of the day in Hong Kong, and I had mine in the middle of the night in Kansas. And we were about the same age. So there's a real distinct possibility that happened at precisely the same moment on opposite sides of the planet. And then somehow we found each other in Kansas, from Hong Kong and Kansas. And then we created a global, facilitated a global meditation event that the Princeton project showed had created greater coherence in global consciousness. So it just makes me believe that, there's kids in these schools all over the planet that just have these little seeds about the verse, and anything we can do to just give them a little space, so that sprout can come out of the seed,
Absolutely. Well,
poles apart.